All right, welcome to Your Time, Your Money, the show where your time is just as valuable as your money, and we know that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a great episode for you today. It's called Sequence of Return Risk, what it is and why it's important to understand sequence of return risk. And what it is and why it's important to understand is because if you're retired or getting ready to retire and you're going to start drawing systematically off of your investments, you really need to understand the risk that's associated with the market while you're drawing off of it. And that's the sequence of return. So we're going to run through two examples here on a chart. If you're on Spotify or Google Play, you might want to check this episode out via YouTube so you can understand it a little bit better because we're going to be throwing out some numbers. But let's take two scenarios, scenario A and scenario B. So if we look at the chart, we'll see scenario A has your first 5 years into retirement, with your first year being a rate of return in the market of 25%, followed by 15, then 5, and then the last 2 years, -5 and -20%. So that's your first scenario, and we'll look at our second scenario, scenario B, where those numbers are inverted. So basically your first year of retirement, you have a -20% return, followed by a -5, a 5, a 15, and a 25. But understanding how those rates of return affect your balance is very important. If you were growing money and you were going to put your $100,000 in the market and let it grow, in either scenario, your $100,000 after 5 years would be worth about $114,000, a little bit more than that. So it'll be averaging about 2 to 3% because of the large years of decline. But if you're withdrawing money, what's going to end up happening? Well, if you withdraw money during that scenario A, that first 5 years in the market, you would have put in $100,000, and over those 5 years, with the market going up 25%, 15.5, and then down at the last 5 years, your balance would be at $70,000. So not bad. You would have lost, about 30% of your portfolio. But if you were drawing out $10,000 a year, you would be worth $70,000 right now. In the second scenario where that sequence of return happens right away, so let's say you put $100,000 in, negative return the first 2 years, what's going to happen? Your balance at the end of 5 years is going to be worth $47,000. So you just went from a -4% decline in your portfolio to over a -12% decline in your portfolio because those years of negative return were early on. We don't have a crystal ball knowing exactly when the next major market decline is going to be or how long it's going to be for or what the event's going to be. But we do know that, unfortunately, if you are retiring and there's a lot more risk in the market, let's say it's an election year, let's say that there's a lot of wars going on, a lot of economic uncertainty, chances are you're going to have a negative year the first year or two. So you want to have a plan put in place on how are you going to navigate that for your income without affecting your entire portfolio. So it is important to talk with an advisor, talk with your planner, make sure that they know, hey, I need to have some money that's non-correlated, maybe that's not at risk of the market, that I can switch my income stream to in those years where the market declines. So sequence and return, very important to understand. And in some scenarios, you can have somebody actually have their accounts go to almost zero in a very short period of time, 5 or 10 years, if they're drawing at a high rate and you happen to have 2, 3 years, 4 years early on in retirement with declining returns or declining market conditions. So it is a little bit scary, but for those that understand it and can navigate it and prepare for it, you should be able to make sure that sequence of return risk is very mild in your portfolio. If you'd like to find out more about your specific portfolio and how we can help you out with protecting against sequence of return and building out a plan that's going to give you increases as you get older into inflation, you can reach Iron Tree Financial at 43 British American Boulevard in Latham, New York, 12110. You can reach us at 844-444-YTYM for Your Time, Your Money. As always, subscribe, send this episode to coworkers, family, friends, so that they can get some good, timely information as well. And as always, it's your time and your money.